Welcome back again. Now, what I want to do is to explain the revaluation to you. Now, what you need basically to know, for an example, is that revaluation, we are talking about the situation whereby, for an example, if you buy a house this year for 200,000, after maybe 5 years, they will tell you that maybe your house is worth 300,000. Now, what you will appreciate is that your house, you bought it for 200,000, which was the cost. Now, that appreciation in value from 200,000 to 300,000, meaning the increase of 100,000, is the revaluation. Now, how do you increase the value of your house from 200,000 to 300,000 in the books of the company? You debit the house as an asset, you credit the revaluation, which is a surplus in the books. It's part of equity, right? Now, here, what I'm trying also to do is to explain to you two methods that are used when you are revaluing an asset. One is called gross replacement, one is called net replacement. Right. Now, let's address what is on the slide. It says the revaluation model involves the subsequent measurement of assets carrying amount to its fair value. So what they're saying, remember the initial measurement is cost. Subsequent, it means now the increase from cost to the new carrying amount or the new fair value. Right. Revaluations to fair value do not have to occur every year and may be done periodically. Right. Then here they're saying also revaluation must be performed regularly to ensure that the carrying amount of the asset does not differ materially from its fair value at that date. So in short, they're saying you must have a policy in terms of how you're going to revalue your assets. You can say I'll always revalue my assets every 2 years, and meaning now what you want to do, you want to make sure that the carrying amount does not differ that much from the fair value. Okay, the revaluation model should be applied to a class of assets. For an example, all vehicle, meaning if you decide that you want to revalue one car, the policy does not allow that. They are saying if you've got 10 cars, you must revalue all of them, not only just one. So it's a class of assets. Then we go to the next one where they are saying revaluation means adjustment of historical carrying amount to its fair value, whether higher or below historical carrying amount. Now, here, what needs to happen is that in some instances, you can revalue an asset below its carrying amount. It's a devaluation technically. And or you can revalue above its carrying amount, which is the revaluation. But sometimes what happens is that an asset can go up in value. For an example, you've got a land that is 1 million, and you are told that that land is in a prime area now. It is basically in an upmarket area now, and most people want to buy it for 5 million. So it will appreciate in value. But what will happen then if squatters go now and occupy that land? It will depreciate now from 5 million downwards. So sometimes an asset can be revalued up and then it goes down, meaning you are reversing the revaluation. When it goes down, you are reversing the revaluation when it basically appreciated, right? Then the last one says revaluation models can be performed using any of the two methods, which is gross replacement and net replacement. Like I've alluded to that fact that there are two models that are used when revaluating assets. Right. Now, let's address the first model. The first method. The first method is gross replacement method. Now, the figures that I'm using in this exercise are figures that are in your class example 1 or class exercise 1, right, that I've supplied. Now, if you look at these figures here, just take the machinery. They are saying to you on 1 January 2002, the gross replacement value of the machinery was 700,000. Machineries are depreciated at 20% per year on a straight line method, wherein tear on machinery is allowed at 25% on a straight line method. Now, the information that is given to you at 1st January is that the cost price of this asset is 600,000. The accumulated depreciation is 240. Right, 240,000, meaning the carrying value is 360. Now remember, these figures that you are seeing here, it's historical cost, the initial cost, right? Now, the remaining useful life is 3 years. Now, if you look at this this information as it given to you, if the remaining is 3, I can tell you now, if I take 3 years and sorry, take 360, this one, the carrying amount, divided by this 3 years, it will give me about 120 per year. So it tells me that if I look at the 240 here, it's 2 years there, because 120 times 2 is 240. So 360 divided by 3 is 120. So it tells you depreciation per year is 120. If it's 240 here, this asset has already been depreciated for 2 years. 3 years is remaining. So in total, the useful life of this asset was 5 years. And you can see that they've given you 20% here at the top, which is 5 years, because you need 5 20s to get to 100. The depreciation has already been, sorry, the asset has already been depreciated for 2 years, like I was saying. 600,000 times 20%, it's 120 times 2 is 240, right? That's what basically I was explaining in terms of this thing. Now, how then do you address the gross replacement? The gross replacement, what you do, you go here, you say, this is 700 on this date, 1 January, right? When the carrying amount was 360, right? The first thing you do, you must depreciate the 700,000 of gross replacement exactly the same as this 600,000 here, right? So if we look at this thing going forward, what you do is you say 600, you see here it's minus 240, and then it's 360. So already this thing has been depreciated for 2 years. So you put your 700 here in line with the 600, and then you must depreciate this 700,000 at 20% over 2 years, like what has happened under historical, right? And then you say, okay, 20% of this is 140 times 2 is 280, right? That gives you a carrying amount of 420, right? Now what you then now must do, you must then compare your historical carrying amount to your new revalued carried amount. And then now you can see that the asset is at 360, but it's supposed to be at 420. So it must increase from 360 to 420, meaning the increase, which is the revaluation, is 60. Right. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is this. This 700 is a gross replacement amount. The 420 is a net replacement amount. Now, why do we say gross? Gross means it's before deducting something. Net means after deducting something. You can see 420 is after deducting the depreciation, accumulated depreciation of 280. 700,000 is the initial amount before. It's a gross replacement. It's before deducting something. Net, it's this 420. It's after deducting something. Now, your revaluation is 60,000. That is the amount by which you have to increase this value from 360 to 420. Right? You need 60,000. You debit 60,000 against the 360, it takes you to 420. Right? Like we were saying here, the carrying amount of 420 is the net replacement value. Now, what is it that you need to remember about gross replacement? Gross replacement, you must take the gross replacement amount, apply it the same way that you've applied your historical cost, meaning depreciate it the same way that you've depreciated your historical cost. If it's 2 years, you do it for 2 years, right? Then you calculate your net replacement, which is 420. Then you compare the 360 to 420, get 60. Okay, right? That is gross replacement for you. If you want to do gross replacement, that's what you do, right? You are supposed to follow that process. Okay. Now, let's then look at net replacement. Now you've got a vehicle here. On 1 January, the net replacement value of this vehicle was 300,000. Vehicles are depreciated to 20% on a reducing balance. Wear and tear on vehicle is allowed at 25%. The tax value of the vehicle on 1 January 2002 is 200,000. Now, here is the information that is given to you 1st of January 2002. The cost is 400,000. The asset has been depreciated at this amount of 144, and then the carrying amount is 256. I can tell you now, if you take 400,000, remember, if it's reducing, this method is reducing balance, right? Now, it says 20%. Always the carrying amount, you see this figure here, it is 80%, right? It is 80% the carrying amount, because 20 is the one in the middle, the 144 technically, but it's not necessarily 20 because it's 2 years, the 144 if you look at it. The vehicle has been depreciated for 2 years. Now look at it this way. 400,000 times 80% times 80% will give you the 256, which is the carrying value. So it tells you that this asset has been depreciated for 2 years now, right? Since the asset has been depreciated for 2 years, but now be careful that we are using net here. We are no longer using gross. We are using net, isn't it? So net, like this 256, is a net amount. Is after deducting something, right? So how then do we deal with this one? Here is the information, the historical column. It's 256 at that point in time. Net, the 300 is net. You see the 300 is sitting where? Here. Because it is a net amount. According to the information given to us, it says 300 is a net amount, right? So your revaluation in this case is 256 minus 300,000 is 44,000. So I need to move from 256 to 300,000. How much do I need? I need 44,000. So 256 plus 44 gives me 300. So my revaluation is 44,000. Right. Now, I am basically going to give you more exercises or more examples that relates to net replacement. Let's take the building in that same exercise. They're saying on 1 January 2002, the buildings are revalued at 600,000 by this external valuer, Mr. Bosch. Okay, 5%, the depreciation, which is about 20 years. 5% is 20 years. Wear and tear is calculated the same as depreciation, right? If your wear and tear and depreciation are the same, there's no deferred tax there because it don't cost deferred tax, especially that relates to wear and tear, because depreciation and wear and tear are the same. Now, this thing is the building are revalued for 600,000 by this external value. Now we are here. The 600,000 is a net replacement, right? Now you've got the building at 500,000 depreciated 75,000. The carrying amount is 425. But it has been revalued at net replacement, which is 600,000. So your revaluation surplus is 175. So here they are saying the remaining useful life is 17. Obviously 5% is 20 years. So it tells you that this one is 3 years. So technically, how much are you depreciating it? At 25,000. If you look at it, it's 25,000. Right, so your revaluation surplus is 175 in terms of this. Net replacement is not that difficult, right? Then let's go to land, which is the one at the end. On 1 January 2002, the land was revalued to its market value of 1.2. Management intends to build its head office on this land. Fine. Now let's look at the land. Net replacement. The land historically is 100,000. The net replacement is 1.2. The revaluation is 200,000. Remember, land you don't depreciate. Okay. If you don't depreciate, then you can't have carrying amounts. We just have basically the normal cost in terms of this asset. All right. So that should cover revaluations and understanding of the two methods of revaluation. Thank you.